Does this sound familiar? You decide that today is the day. It's time to finally get serious about your money. You sit down at your desk, full of motivation. You open up your laptop to a fresh, blank spreadsheet, and you just stare at it. It's a bright, white sea of tiny, intimidating boxes and endless columns and rows. It stares back at you, judging you. You start typing in some categories you think you're supposed to have: groceries, gas, rent, utilities. Then you try to remember how to write one of those sum formulas to add everything up. You type it in, hit enter, and error. The formula breaks. You don't know why. You spend the next hour on Google searching how to fix spreadsheet formula, watching tutorials with people who talk way too fast. By the end of it all, you're exhausted, you're frustrated, you feel a little bit dumb, and you haven't even started the actual work of tracking your spending yet. You close the laptop and think to yourself, do I really need to be a certified accountant just to figure out where my money is going? If any part of that story made you nod your head, then I want you to take a deep breath and listen. I want to give you official permission to do something that might feel a little bit radical. It is perfectly okay to hate traditional budgeting. It's okay if spreadsheets make your eyes glaze over. It's okay if the thought of saving every single receipt and logging every coffee you buy makes you want to run for the hills. It does not mean you are lazy or irresponsible. It does not mean you are bad with money. All it means is that the old school, complicated methods were not designed for you. They weren't designed for most people. In this video, we are going to completely redefine the word lazy. In the world of personal finance, lazy does not mean careless. Lazy means smart. It means efficient. It means finding the path of least resistance to get the maximum result. It means you'd rather spend 5 minutes setting up a system that works for you automatically than spend 5 hours a month maintaining a system you hate. From now on, I want you to think of lazy as the new smart. I am going to show you 3 incredibly simple, smart, and lazy-approved methods for managing your money. These methods require almost no math, and I promise, they require absolutely no complicated spreadsheets. We're going to find a system that finally fits your brain and your lifestyle. First, we'll cover the pay-yourself-first method, which is the perfect system for the ultimate automator who wants to set it and forget it. Then, we'll explore the digital envelope method, a modern take on a classic system that's perfect for the visual organizer who needs clear boundaries. And finally, we'll look at the 80-20 plan, a super flexible approach for the big-picture thinker who hates getting bogged down in tiny details. Let's find your perfect fit. But before we dive into the specific methods, we need to talk about the philosophy behind all of them. What makes a lazy budget work when a traditional budget fails? It comes down to 2 core principles. The first and most important principle is automation over motivation. Think about your motivation like the battery on your cell phone. When you wake up in the morning, it's at 100%. You're full of energy and good intentions. But as the day goes on, every decision you make, every bit of work you do, every frustrating moment you deal with drains that battery. By the end of the day, your motivation is running on empty. A traditional budget relies entirely on you having high motivation 24/7. It expects you to have the energy and discipline to manually track your spending every single day. That's why it fails. It's depending on a battery that naturally runs out. A lazy system, on the other hand, relies on automation. Automation is the charger for your phone. It's a system you plug in once, and it works for you in the background, recharging your progress without you needing to do anything. Our goal with these methods is to make your most important financial decisions like saving and investing happen on autopilot. We want to build a system that takes care of your future even when you're tired, unmotivated, or just plain busy. Automation is always more reliable than motivation. The second core principle is focus on the big wins, not the tiny details. For decades, personal finance gurus have obsessed over the small stuff, They've made us feel guilty about buying a $5 latte, as if that one coffee is the only thing standing between us and a wealthy retirement. This is a distraction. It makes us major in the minors. The truth is, your financial success is not determined by how much you spend on coffee. It's determined by a few big wins. These are the 20% of decisions that drive 80% of your results. What are these big wins? First, your savings rate. The single most important factor in building wealth is the percentage of your income you are consistently saving and investing. Getting this automated is a huge win. Second, avoiding high-interest debt. Paying 22% interest on a credit card balance will do infinitely more damage to your finances than any coffee ever could. Third, managing your 2 or 3 biggest life expenses. Your housing and your transportation. A decision that saves you $300 a month on rent or a car payment is thousands of times more impactful than trying to save 30 cents on generic ketchup. These lazy methods are designed to help you nail these big wins. They focus all your energy and setup on automating your savings and making sure your big bills are paid. And once those big things are handled, they give you the freedom to stop stressing about the tiny details. You can buy the latte, guilt-free. So, with that philosophy in mind, let's dive into our first method. This is the ultimate set it and forget it system. This is method number 1, the pay yourself first budget. It's also sometimes called a reverse budget. Yeah, because it completely flips the script on how a normal budget works. A normal, traditional budget has this formula. You take your income, you subtract all your expenses, and whatever is left over at the end of the month is what you get to save. The problem is, for most people, what's left over is usually zero. The pay yourself first method reverses this. The new formula is income minus savings equals what you have left to spend. It's a simple but profound shift in priority. Instead of treating savings as an afterthought, you make it the very first thing you do. You decide how much you want to save for your future. You take that money off the top, and then you give yourself permission to spend whatever is left over. There are no complicated categories. There is no daily tracking. The rule is simple. If the money is in your checking account after your savings have been automatically taken out, it is there for you to spend. So, how do you actually set this up? It's almost laughably simple, and it only takes about 30 minutes to do one time. Step 1 is to decide your savings rate. This just means picking a percentage of your income that you want to save. A fantastic goal for most people is to save and invest between 15% and 20% of their take-home pay. But please, do not get stuck on this step. Do not let perfection be the enemy of good. If 15% sounds impossible right now, start with 10%. If 10% is a stretch, start with 5%. If all you can do is 1%, then start with 1%. The most important thing is to build the habit. You can always increase the percentage later. Just pick a number that feels slightly challenging but still realistic for you today. Step 2 is the only step that really matters. You have to automate it. I cannot stress this enough. You are going to log into your various accounts and set up a series of automatic transfers that happen on the day you get paid. First, log into your work's HR or benefits portal online. Find your 401k retirement plan. Set your contribution percentage. Let's say you decide to put 5% of your paycheck in there. You set it. You save it. You are done. That money will now be invested for your future before you ever see it. Next, you log into your personal bank account. You are going to find the section for transfers or payments. You will look for an option that says recurring transfer or automatic transfer. You are going to set up a transfer from your main checking account to a separate savings account. This could be a Roth IRA for more retirement savings, or a high-yield savings account for your emergency fund or another savings goal. You set the amount. Let's say it's another 10% of your take-home pay and you schedule it to happen on the exact day your paycheck is deposited. You click Confirm. And now for step 3, spend the rest. Guilt-free. That is it. I'm serious. That's the entire system. Once those automated transfers for your savings have happened, the remaining dollar amount in your checking account is your official budget for all of your life's expenses until your next payday. That money needs to cover your rent, your bills, your food, your gas, and your fun. You don't need to split it up into categories. You just need to make sure the account doesn't hit zero before your next paycheck arrives. So what are the pros and cons of this beautiful, simple system? The pros are obvious. It is incredibly simple to set up. It is 100% automated, which means there is zero ongoing effort required from you. It forces you to prioritize your future, and it gives you incredible freedom and removes the guilt from your daily spending. The main con is that it doesn't provide clear boundaries for different types of spending. It puts all your expenses into one big pile. For some people, this can be dangerous. It can lead to overspending. Early in the month, you might spend too much on fun things in the first week and not have enough left for groceries in the last week. It requires a baseline level of awareness to pace yourself. So, who is this method perfect for? This is for the person who truly, deeply hates thinking about their money on a daily basis. It's for the person whose main goal is just to make sure their savings are happening consistently. If you are someone who is generally responsible but just wants to be completely hands-off, this is your dream system. It's the ultimate lazy, or as we now call it, smart, a money management method. But what if you need a little more structure? What if you're the kind of person who actually does overspend when all your money is in one big pile? That brings us to our next approach. This is for the visual person who needs clear boundaries to feel in control. This is method number 2, the digital envelope system. You have probably heard of your grandparents or great-grandparents using a cash envelope system. Back in the day, they would cash their paycheck, and they would physically divide the money into different envelopes. There would be an envelope for rent, one for groceries, one for utilities, and one for fun money. The rule was simple. You could only spend the cash that was in the envelope. When the cash in the fun money envelope was gone, your fun was over for the month. It was a simple, tangible, and very effective way to control spending. The digital envelope system is the modern, 21st century version of that classic idea. But instead of using physical paper envelopes and messy cash, we use multiple free online bank accounts to act as our digital buckets or envelopes for our money. Here is how you set this up. Step 1 is to open multiple free accounts. The key here is free. You should never pay a bank to hold your money. You need to find a modern online bank that allows you to open multiple checking or savings accounts with no monthly fees and no minimum balance requirements. Some great options in the U.S. for this are banks like Bank, Capital One 360, or SoFi. They often let you open new accounts with just a few clicks and even let you give them custom nicknames. Step 2 is to name your buckets. You do not need to create 20 different accounts. That would defeat the purpose of being lazy and simple. You just need a few key buckets to separate your money in a way that makes sense to you. A great starting setup could have just 3 or 4 accounts. For example, you could have account number 1, named Bills and Fixed Costs. This will be your main hub. Your paycheck gets deposited into this account. All of your predictable, automated bill payments for your rent, mortgage, utilities, and car payment will be paid from this account. Then you create account number 2, named Guilt-Free Spending. This is going to be your daily driver. This is the account that has a debit card attached to it that you carry in your wallet. You will use this card for all your variable, in-person expenses, like buying groceries, getting gas, going out for coffee, and any other fun spending. Then you might create account number 3, named Vacation Fund. This would be a high-yield savings account where you put money aside for a specific, fun goal. And finally, account number 4, named Emergency Fund, which is another high-yield savings account that you do not touch unless there is a true emergency. Step 3 is to automate the filling of the buckets. Just like in our first method, you put this on autopilot. On the day you get paid, After your paycheck lands in your main bills account, you set up a series of automatic, recurring transfers. For example, your setup might be $800 automatically moves from bills to guilt-free spending, $200 automatically moves from bills to vacation fund, and another $300 moves to your emergency fund or other savings. Now for step 4, which is the easiest part. Spend based on your buckets. Your only job throughout the month is to know which bucket to spend from. If you're at the grocery store, you use your guilt-free spending card. Before you make a big purchase, your only task is to log into your mobile banking app and check the balance of that one account. It provides a clear, tangible, real-time spending limit. You no longer have to do mental math to figure out how much fun money you have left. The bank account balance tells you everything you need to know. What are the pros and cons here? The pros are that this system is incredibly visual and intuitive. It creates hard, clear boundaries that are very effective at preventing overspending. It's also fantastic for helping you stay motivated while saving for specific, tangible goals, because you can see that vacation fund balance growing every month. The cons are that it does take a little more effort to set up initially, since you have to open a few accounts. It also involves managing and keeping track of a few different accounts, which might feel like a little too much for the ultimate lazy purist. So, who is this method perfect for? This is for the visual thinker. It's for the person who has tried the one-account method and found that they constantly overspend because they lack clear limits. If you are the kind of person who needs to see your money separated into neat little piles to feel in control, then the digital envelope system will feel like a complete game changer for you. But what if both of those methods feel a bit too restrictive? What if you are someone with a variable income, like a freelancer, and the idea of fixed transfers feels too rigid? This brings us to our third and final approach. This is for the big picture person who values flexibility above all else. This is method number 3, the 80-20 spending plan. This method is based on a famous concept from economics called the Pareto principle, which is more commonly known as the 80-20 rule. The rule generally states that for many events, roughly 80% of the effects come from 20% of the causes. In the world of personal finance, we can adapt this to mean that we should focus on the 20% of our financial decisions that matter most and stop obsessing over the other 80%. You might have heard of the popular 50-30-20 budget rule, which suggests 50% of your income for needs, 30% for wants, and 20% for savings. We are going to simplify this even further to align with our lazy philosophy. Here's how the 80-20 spending plan works. Step 1 is to know your 20%. Your 20% is your savings and investment goal. This is the only number you really, truly need to focus on. You make a commitment to yourself that you are going to save and invest 20% of your monthly take-home pay. This is your non-negotiable big win. Step 2 is to automate your 20%. As with all our lazy methods, this part is non-negotiable. You automate it completely on payday. That 20% is automatically sent from your main account to your 401k, your Roth IRA, and your other savings goals. You pay your future self first. Now for step 3, which is where this method is unique. The other 80% is your everything else bucket. This is the key. With the remaining 80% of your take-home pay, you do not create a bunch of different categories or envelopes. You just live your life. This single, massive 80% bucket needs to cover all of your expenses for the month. That includes your fixed costs like rent and bills, and all of your variable costs like food, gas, and fun. You do not track it. You do not analyze it. You do not categorize it. Your only job is to make sure that your total spending for the month doesn't go over this big 80% number. It provides the ultimate flexibility. So, what are the pros and cons? The pros are that this system is extremely flexible, which makes it fantastic for people with variable or unpredictable incomes. It requires the absolute minimum amount of tracking. It keeps you focused on the big picture, your savings rate, without getting bogged down in details. The cons are that it is the least structured of the 3 methods. It could be dangerous if you don't have a good, intuitive handle on what your major fixed costs are each month. It requires a bit more self-awareness to make sure you don't accidentally spend your rent money on fun things. So, who is this perfect for? This is for the ultimate good enough person. It's for someone who truly hates details and just wants a simple guardrail, a single number, to make sure they are saving enough each month while maintaining total and complete flexibility in how they spend the rest. If you're a freelancer or work on commission, this might be the only system that feels realistic for you. So, now you have three great, simple, and lazy-approved methods. Which one is right for you? Let's do a quick quiz to help you find your perfect fit. If your number one goal is to spend less than 5 minutes a month thinking about your money and you just want to ensure your savings are on autopilot, you should start with method number one, the Pay Yourself First budget. If you have tried that and found that you constantly overspend because you lack clear, visible limits, then you probably need the structure and hard boundaries of method number two, the digital envelope system. And if you value flexibility above all else, maybe because your income changes month to month, and you just want a simple framework to guide you without the hassle of tracking, then you are a perfect fit for method number three, the 80-20 plan. But here is the best part. These methods are not mutually exclusive. You can, and many people do, combine them to create an even more powerful system. For example, you can use the core principle of pay yourself first to automate your 20% savings goal. Then, you can use the digital envelope system to manage the remaining 80% of your money. You could have that 80% deposited into a bills account, and then set up a weekly automatic transfer into a spending account. This gives you the automated savings of the first method with the clear spending boundaries of the second. This hybrid approach is a pro-level lazy system. The biggest takeaway from our entire discussion today should be this. Stop trying to force yourself into a system that doesn't fit your personality. The goal of managing your money is not to have the world's most perfect, color-coded, and detailed spreadsheet. The goal is to have a simple, effective system that works so seamlessly in the background of your life that you barely even notice it's there. A good enough plan that you can actually stick with for years is infinitely better than a perfect plan that you abandon after 3 weeks. You do not need to be a math genius. You do not need to love spreadsheets. You just need to find a system that aligns with your brain, and then use the power of automation to make it work for you. So, your challenge for today is not to go home and build a massive, complicated new budget. Your challenge is to take one small, lazy step. Just one. Maybe that step is simply logging into your bank's website and setting up a single, small, automatic transfer from your checking to your savings account. Maybe it's just opening one extra, free online savings account and nicknaming it Vacation Fund. Start small. Build the habit. Create the system piece by piece. I'd love to know, which of these lazy methods sounded the most appealing to you? The ultimate automation of pay yourself first, the clear boundaries of the digital envelopes, or the total flexibility of the 80-20 plan? Let me know in the comments below. And if this video helped you feel a little less stressed and a little more hopeful about managing your money, please give it a like and subscribe for more practical tips for people who hate spreadsheets. Thank you so much for watching. And here's to doing less, but achieving more.